Welcome to today's Climate Week Northeast session. Today, we're very excited to bring you more of the stories about young people and in the theme of actions speak louder than words. And today we're going to talk about, we named our session Ellie Meets the Lorax. All will be revealed. So my name is Natalija Clark and I work for an organization called Aberdeen for a Fairer World. You can see our logo at the top left corner, I believe. And then we are together with NESCAN Hub working to promote the Climate Week Northeast. And we have a series of events that we have put on this week during the Climate Week Northeast to showcase how we work with NESCAN Hub and what is it that we do. So we are an organization that supports schools and teachers in teaching global citizenship education. So there are some parts of our work is to provide CPD sessions to teachers to help them teach global citizenship in the classroom. And in more recently, we've also been going into the classrooms ourselves to use some of the knowledge and the methodologies that we share to run some workshops with the learners ourselves. So I just wanted to have you to have a quick look at what we've currently have. So we have already had on Monday and on Tuesday these two sessions, and they are recorded. So if you'd like to see those recordings, you're more than welcome to email me and I can send them to you, because we will be collating everything to our YouTube channel after this week is past. But if you want to watch them straight away, I can easily email them to you. And so today we're on the Wednesday the 20th, and I'm so excited to have you here. Just a quick recap. We'll see what the links what we're really what context we're really operating in. So it is really important to say that we are situated in amongst the global goals, sustainable global goals. And as you might be familiar with them already, there are 17 global goals and they cover all life on planet. And children have been learning about this for quite some time now. And we will hear more about the global goals from our very special guest speaker in a wee while. And also it is now really important to start talking about the Convention on the rights of the child. This is not the first time we're talking about it. We've been talking about it for decades. But the reason we're particularly interested and would like to situate all of the work that we do is in the fact that a law has now been passed. It's been an incorporate UNCRC Incorporation Scotland 2024 Act has been is now in force. So we're also making sure that we're making links to the children's rights, as is the law in Scotland now. So these were the two sort of context setting things I really wanted to mention. So before I pass over to Ellie, there's a couple of things that pass over to Mary about to talk about Ellie, is there a couple of things that I wanted to show you just in terms of what we have been working as an organization and what we've been doing in classrooms in the primary school. And then I'm going to be maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I'm going to pass over to Mary for her wonderful book and all of the amazing work that Mary's been doing. So the book is called Reaching the World Without Leaving the Classroom, and we're very proud to support Mary to promote the book, because it is really a great resource for teachers. Anyway, I am here to talk about the Lorax. So the Lorax, if you haven't heard of the story, was written in 1971. It has also been made into a movie, but I'll be talking about the book itself. I won't be talking you through the storyline necessarily, but just how we used it in the classroom, in P5 classroom that I went to talk about sustainability. Just to give you a little bit of a background. So I went to Sunnybank Primary, which is in Aberdeen City. As you can see, it's a really, really big primary school. We've spoken to a P5 teacher there who wanted us to bring a little bring a story of sustainability, or rather talk about sustainability and climate change in a bit more in a fun way. So we went to meet the class, and meeting the boys and girls was really wonderful because they came from so many different backgrounds from all over the world. They had different they were different levels of learning, and they were just sort of very curious and keen to learn. We had we had learners from different backgrounds who perhaps missed some of the education because they were from traveling backgrounds, or some have moved countries a lot, so they're just getting used to the school. So it was a really diverse group of children who were all just really very keen to learn. And needless to say, I had lots of fun, but I'll show you in what we've done. So when we talk about global citizenship, it's sorry that my slide is slightly off not showing entirely there, but when we talk about global citizenship education, which is what we are deliver the CPD sessions to teachers about, is about what kind of learner are we really trying to develop. So Oxfam have issued these really handy handbooks to get the teachers started on their journey to teaching about global citizenship. And so they've collated a set of values and a set of skills that they would like the teachers to promote and harness in the learners. So it was about developing sense of identity and self-esteem, commitment to social justice. We wanted them to be empathetic and critical thinkers, belief that people can bring about change, that they're good communicators, their ability to manage complex information, and so on, if they were to survive the future. So it is about harnessing and developing these skills. Also, we're situated our learning in the framework for global citizenship education, which puts the learner at the center, and then it's all about asking questions. We make connections from global to local, or local to global. We examine viewpoints and values where everybody's opinion is important, and they can make that their case confidently. And also that they then, when they have the knowledge and they have the confidence, that they can then respond as active citizens and advocate for those who perhaps are not able to advocate for themselves. And of course, we can assess learning as we go along. And you can see that there isn't a particular order in which we do these things, because this is about, conversations are about life. So we're being quite flexible in how we hold that lightly. So when I went to the P5, I sort of gathered that because we have so many, because when I first went, I didn't really know what we were going to do. I just wanted to meet them to see where they're at, what they're interested in. And so it kind of sprang to my mind that we had the Lorax, a lesson pack in the office, because back in the day when we had physical resources, we had loads of Lorax packs in the office. So I kind of thought Lorax would be fun, but when I looked at the lesson plans, they were really quite complex. I think they were also for older learners, and with the conversations I had with the boys and girls, if I'd followed that lesson plan, it wouldn't have worked all that great. So I had changed it basically to match it to what I thought would work for this P5 in Sunnybank Primary. So what we've done, so I wanted to be about literacy, because it is obviously a book. So I thought if everybody read a section, that would be great. But then we very quickly found out that they weren't very confident readers, even though they were P5. So that was okay. We just projected the book and the picture on the screen, and I just read sections, paused for recaps and see if there are any questions and clarifications. So then we discussed the pictures and what we saw in the pictures, so we could ask questions of the pictures, what was going on there. And then every so often, somebody would comment on what Wansler, the main character, was doing, and what kind of business he was running, and why this wasn't very sustainable. And then we also planned to go out the next time. We wanted to go outside to look at some of the trees because the story of Lorax is about the trees. So the Lorax is the creature that comes from the trees and speaks to the trees. And he's only appeared once the Wansler started cutting too many trees down. So we were very excited to go outside, but then we didn't. I'm just going to admit somebody else that's come in. Okay, so we were very excited to go outside the following time I was going to come in a few weeks' time, 2 weeks' time, I think. And we didn't have, unfortunately, enough adults. And I think it was raining that day, so we ended up not going. But what we wanted to do is go outside with our brown crayons and make rubbings of the trees to begin to sculpt this tree that we wanted to build in the classroom. So the rubbings would have looked really good as the tree trunk. But it wasn't to be. So we just kind of always have to adapt as you do. So we just stayed inside and started to construct and color in the tree ourselves. And so the children worked in teams and they were working on separate different elements of the tree. So one that we had the trunk team, we had the leaves team, we had the branches team, and so on. So this was just really wonderful to see the children working together. There was lots of cutting and coloring and helpful chatting, and they were all very helpful and helped clear up afterwards, because I didn't want to, even though I go in and have fun, I do make a mess in classrooms. So I always like to make sure that I am the one that cleans up as well. So the children were helping me clean, which was really wonderful. And also, fine motor skills were being used and developed further. So there was all kinds of amazing stuff going on in the classroom, which was wonderful to see. So what we've ended up constructing was this fairly large tree. It wasn't, I say constructing, it was on paper, it was on the wall, but maybe constructing is too strong a word. So we've taped this tree together on the big wall, on the wall that there was enough room for, because the classroom was absolutely adorned with all kinds of amazing things, including the flags, all the flags the children came from, which was great. So we were never going to move the flags. So we found the space. And so what we've essentially constructed was an issues tree. So an issues tree is a helpful methodology that's used quite widely in global citizenship education, and teachers have used it for talking about any types of issue, from behavior to sustainability to any issue that would like to be discussed in the classroom. So in the reading of the story and in the constructing of the tree, we've also left this tool for the teacher to then use it afterwards for her own topics that she would like to discuss further in the classroom. The children felt that they had ownership of the tree because they constructed it all together. And we managed to also discuss some of the issues in the Lorax story that are about sustainability of the trees, because that's the storyline as well. So all in all, we felt that was a little bit of a test to see how that would go, because it had to be sort of adapted as we were going. But also we thought we would like to share that with you, because it worked, and the children were really sad to see me go, which I think I'm not a primary school teacher. So when a primary school teachers, I don't know how you can leave your when they grow up, how do you get over it? And also, so there was lots of hugs and sort of waves, and it was wonderful. However, there was one particular recommendation that I would make about the Lorax in particular. So it's about 50-year-old. The story itself is about 53 years old now, and it was that in the sort of the coloring and the chatting, and one of the pupils said, "Oh, I know," and I said, "What do you know?" And she said, because the story ends with, or one of the second last pages of the story is about as long as there's one person that believes in the trees, there is hope to replenish them. So as long as there's one person that believes, there is hope. So it's a story of hope. And even though we were busy constructing the tree, children were still thinking about how it all hangs together. So I was really pleased that I didn't have to coax it out of anyone, that it just sort of came naturally. So I know that it worked. So if you want a story of hope, then the Lorax lends itself really well to that. Of course, we have many scary stories and sort of doomsday stories about climate as well. So it just depends on where you're going with it and the age and the stage of the learner. There are many other, you could look them up, lessons in the Lorax. This is the one I adapted for the learners that I had in front of me, but you can absolutely be creative with the Lorax story and do it your way. So this is just one of the ways. So in any case, I'm trying not to take too much time from Mary because I'm really excited to see what she has to say. So thank you from me, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if you need my details, that's no problem at all. I'll share them in the chat. Thank you very much. And over to you, Mary.
Hi, everybody. I'm just trying to share my screen now. Hopefully, that should be it coming up there. Can you see that? Yep. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to share with you today. I am a teacher in Aberdeen. I've been here just over a year, and I am slightly obsessed with the global goals for sustainable development. And I try to integrate these along with children's rights, into everyday learning. So I'm going to talk to you about how I've taught global citizenship in primary schools using child-led learning, picture books, and toy elephants, with a focus on climate and environment, same as this is Northeast Climate Week. So here are two of my Ellies here. This is Granny Ellie, who's been with me in the classroom since 2008 and just started off as a class toy that went home with children at the weekend. And then this progressed to our Ellie's going out on work experience, and putting on social media a little diary of what they've been doing. So I've got them all held up here. I don't know if you can see them. I don't know if you can see me at all, but they are here. I'm holding them up, but I will show you a picture of them now, because if I scroll down, you can see a little picture of my Ellies. They feature heavily in my book, Reaching the World Without Leaving the Classroom, which tells you about my journey into teaching global citizenship using social media in the classroom to help the children connect with the world outside the classroom. So making connections with real people in the world is key to helping children see themselves as global citizens. And it helps them to relate to issues people are facing and not being stuck in their own little bubble. So climate change is impacting all of us, but people in certain parts of the world are experiencing it more than others. So unless we see that and make connections with these people, it's really easy to just bury our head in the sand. So our Ellies have been all over the world. They have been to visit this refugee settlement in Kenya, where they joined the classroom of children, and we did a joint STEM project with them. And during that time, actually, that classroom burnt down, and the children in my class made a campaign video an appeal video to try and help them raise money to rebuild that classroom. But they've been all over the place. And there they are. There's my class connecting with the class in Kenya with their project. They've fought Ebola in West Africa. They've served in Afghanistan. They've gone to school in India, Australia, North America. They've visited Malawi, Zambia, Gambia, China, Russia, even been to the summit of Kilimanjaro. And in all these places, we've made connections with the people there, either through video calls like this one, or by using photos and videos on social media. And what this leads to connections, oneness, empathy. I talked about child-led learning, and these connections have led to children becoming activists. So my pupils have led various campaigns for the things that matter to them, like homelessness, toilet facilities and clean running water, CPR training, and you'll be pleased to hear climate action. So what I usually start with when I have a new class is teaching this global goals lesson. I've got a link to this on Wakelet, which I could share with you. And this is a lesson that introduces the global goals to children. And it starts with a question, which is, what are the biggest problems facing people in the world that you would fix if you were an all-powerful president? Or my class at the moment who've been learning about magic, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you do to make the world better? And the children discuss it and we come up with all the issues that we think of. And what we always find out is what actually matters to them. And I've taught this lesson to dozens of classes, from primary ones, 5-year-olds, all the way up to adults. And what I've found is that children as a class nearly always mention every single one of the global goals. They agree with the UN on their priorities. And then we sometimes rank the issues, which leads to great discussions. So with the children, the issue that is most strongly represented in their concerns is climate change and environment, closely followed by poverty-related issues. But when I've done this lesson with adults, climate change is always the last thing they mention, and sometimes doesn't come up at all. So children really care about the environment and they are worried about climate change. So as a teacher who delivers child-led learning, this means that I spend a lot of time facilitating this topic. This is not something that you should do a one-off 6-week topic on in school during your education or do once a year during Climate Week. This is coming up all the time. It's happening all the time and it needs to be addressed all the time. So in the words of Dr. Seuss, you'll be pleased to hear, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Children care about our environment and they're worried about climate change. And as a teacher who delivers child-led learning, this means that I spend a lot of time, facilitating it. So I would like to tell you about some of the things Ellie has done. So here we are, and I can see Mary Alice on this call, who was wonderful enough to take Ellie to New York, I think it was. Do you remember in 2019, Greta Thunberg traveling to New York by boat for a big climate conference? So who was there too? Obviously, Ellie was there too. Sadly, she didn't go in the boat, she went in the mail. The primary 7 class I had at the time were speaking online and having a chat about it on Skype. And this drew them into the conference and it made them really interested in it, in the news and watching the unfolding of events. And it got them talking home too. They then went on to meet a very interesting guy. I don't know if it's going to come up here or not because it's not coming up on my screen, called Jarvis Smith. He had many years ago spent 2 years living on a rubbish dump for a reality TV show and had a defining moment there when he saw all the waste he was surrounded by. And he went on to found a company selling sustainable products and an organisation called My Green Pod. So we had great conversations with him and we sent Blue Ellie with him, or Blue Elephant, the following year when he went to COP26. So Blue Ellie being at that conference really drew the children in even more. And the primary ones wrote a letter, a collaborative letter, so that he would read at COP26. And it made them feel so empowered. So I'd like to read it to you now, if that's okay. Later on this little link, and I will show you the QR code to get into it in a minute, you can see videos of their climate stories and you'll see that they were really inspired by a certain person who they read a book about, Greta and the Giants, and you will see that in their language. So in the letter, it says this is from the children, and this is all the children's words. To the people with the power to help us, How would you feel if you lived in a world with loads of terrible hurricanes, storms, droughts, forest fires, and flooding that ruined homes, towns, and forests, and people were dying in them? How would you feel if the taps stopped giving water and not enough food could be grown to feed everyone? How would you feel if your town was underwater? How would you feel if thousands of people were dying from hot weather and being poor? That's what it could look like when we're your age, but we don't have the power to stop it now. You do. If you don't do something huge by 2030, it could be too late. We will only be 15 years old by then. You are not doing enough. Stop fighting about silly things. Stop being greedy and selfish. Help us. We are depending on you. Don't let us down. So I think that letter was absolutely amazing, and to know that it was read at COP26 was really, really powerful. So I'm going to try and close that now. There, oh, just completely lost that screen. So I am back with you now. Can you see me? Good. He also then took Blue Ellie to a TED talk. Some of the children in primary one decided they wanted to take to the streets on a march. So during their free play, they started making banners. And this came from them. It was their play. So when we went, it was optional. You can't be an activist about a topic you're not passionate about. And as a teacher, I can't tell the children what to care about, what to think. That would be wrong. So we're following this path because the children want to do this. Um, and those that did stay behind did fun stuff too. So there was no cajoling going on. But then the 5-year-olds told their 11-year-old buddies in the school who wanted to come. And they started making banners too. And then some of the 10 and 9-year-olds in the school heard about it and they started making banners and they wanted to come. So there we all went. I think there was about maybe 60 children all went out on the local streets with their banners having their own march. Um, I will put that up. I will put a link to all that up on my X Twitter page at Ellie Primary One. But I'll just finish by showing you a few books. I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me? I've got Greta and the Giants here, which is an absolutely amazing story. There's a great soundscape for this on Novel Effect, which is an app that puts sound effects in the back of the book. And this is really inspiring. I've also got Boy Who Harnessed the Wind here. And we love true stories. There's other ones like Ada's Violin and a whole collection of books about the environment. This one's called Somebody Followed Stanley, about a plastic bag who was mistaken for a jellyfish. So on the link that I will put on my Twitter page at Ellie Primary One, you can get more information about all those things. But I think my time is up. So thank you for listening to me.